And this feels weird. Welcome to Down the Alley. This is Ted T. Esperides.
And Katie.
And JP.
And it just didn't hit the same way without our fearless leader, PMAC. But when you're in lacrosse season and it's the first week, sometimes, things take priority. They are finishing up their tryouts. He may make it on at some point. He may not. We had to plan, we had a game plan without him, assuming we weren't gonna have him. And then it's a game time decision. We'll see what happens. But first week 0, do we call this week 0? Tryout week.
Yeah.
No games this week. Everybody was starting their season, in air quotes, starting their season. The Prior Lake girls, they made things happen. They started on Monday. They were outside. They have not been in the gym yet. I've
Nope.
seen teams canceling practices. I've seen teams, and I know personally of teams that have scrambled to find dome time. It wouldn't be lacrosse season without an April or late March foot of snow or insane cold or rain or some sort of inclement weather. But Katie, JP, got through the sections. Welcome to week 0 of the high school lacrosse season.
Yeah, it feels weird. It feels weird that like we finished out the sections and now here we are. Like we had our first, like Ted, you mentioned, like we were outside, we battled the elements. Yesterday, I think was 39. No, I think it was like
29. It was
30,
29.
29. It was 29 and snowing. It snowed all. It wasn't supposed to precipitate, but it did, and it was very windy. We have like Coach Grace, our goalie coach, uses these like buckets of rice for the goalies to like do like hand exercises, like hand strengthening exercises. I think they do. I don't really know. And we had to put those on the back of the nets because the nets kept blowing over, and one net blew over with this bucket, probably like a couple pound bucket of rice, and it spilled all over the turf. So facilities is going to be mad at us, but they're mad at us already.
Yeah.
So they were out there. I did not claim to be out there, shoveled the foot of snow for hours and hours. So we were able to have a cleared field and we got it done. And today was the first day, and like I'm so happy we just battled through. I mean, you are wearing every piece of clothing, and team negotiations are always kind of the worst part of the season because you just wish everybody could be wherever they wanted to be. But first practice, the sun was shining today. It was great.
It was true Minnesota, April fashion for there to be 8 inches last Friday, the weekend before tryouts,
Yep.
when a lot of teams have taken down their domes too. So just like really Minnesota weather, just kind of giving one last, bird to everybody in the lacrosse community, every spring sport really. And then for Wednesday night to just be not enough snow to really accumulate any type of inches or anything, but like just to make everybody's life miserable.
Yeah, it was miserable yesterday. It was miserable Wednesday.
But yeah. I mean, I did look ahead. I don't want to jinx it. Who knows what the weather's really going to do? But opening weekend for the lacrosse season could be one of the best I think we've had ever. Supposed to be high 50s, maybe even some 70s, sunny. So it could pay dividends later on. And I mean, I'm not coaching anymore, but I'm still on the sidelines doing the media stuff. I would definitely trade some bad weather right away if it meant opening weekend was solid sunny weather. So
yeah,
I agree.
It's funny because I think every season you kind of you think maybe you're not going to have to start over, but every season you start over. And the kids, tryouts, no, it doesn't really matter how long in life you've been doing tryouts or evaluations. It just, there is an added piece of pressure, and it's a tough week for coaches too. We don't like making, unfavorable decisions that people maybe don't like to hear, but it is part of the game. But, you know, a lot of the kids are coming in, especially with the spring breaks being right now for a lot of programs. There's a lot of rust. There's a lot of drop passes. There's a lot of missed, easy shots, whatever. But I had my first coaching rust transition yesterday, where we're out in, the crappy weather, and I left my whiteboard on the turf, and one of the players grabbed it, but he's in Florida starting today. So I didn't get it. And of course, today was the day we're going to start putting in all the offense and defense and all this stuff. We haven't really technically finished tryouts yet, but we're trying to start getting some stuff installed for everybody so that when we have one practice in between the end of our tryouts and our first game, we have something in place. And I didn't have a whiteboard, and it wasn't horrible, but luckily I had some guys that know the stuff, so they were able to demonstrate. But first day one, week one, first week coaching problems, already leaving whiteboards on the field. I think I lost 2 last year.
Yeah, I was just gonna say my experience with whiteboards in the last year has been unfavorable. Not only have I lost, I think at least 2 or 3. One of them I lost like with the first, like I bought it, used it, left it at the field at a tournament, and someone swiped it, and bought another one, boys lines, by accident. So I have a board for you if you'd like it.
Yeah, I would actually love that.
So we have an extra boys lines one, so I get to practice. I'm so excited. Amazon Prime quickly comes. I show up to practice and I'm like this, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And I look at it and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So then sure enough, another week has to go by waiting for my correct lines coming. And I have a specific, do you like the clipboard or do you like the big green board? Because I like the big green board. I'm not a fan of the small clipboard. It has to be the big wide green one that barely fits in my backpack. So I end up holding onto it and leaving it places.
I don't have a preference. I think the big green ones are nicer, a little bit bigger, a little bit more space to draw, but I do like the small ones to just throw them in a backpack. So it doesn't matter to me. I just want to have one. And I felt so dusty today. Just coach trying to put in offense without a whiteboard. And I just felt like such a noob. And the kid, and 99% of the kids don't even understand what you're drawing on the whiteboard, but at least, we sit here and preach, be prepared. Don't forget your stuff, pack your bag the night before, double check that you have everything. And then I left my whiteboard, which I needed today, on the field. And it would have been nice if the player would have been like, hey coach, I picked up your whiteboard. So I could have maybe arranged a time to grab it, but it's my fault. So extreme ownership, right? I think, the big, obviously there's not any games and we don't really have too much of an inside look into teams and what's happening, but there are some interesting, I don't know what you call scrimmage fests or jamborees happening this weekend. I don't know as much going on the girls' side, Katie, but on the boys' side, I know Rosemount is hosting one and Egan is hosting one. Farmington went to Egan last year and it was a really well-run, organized event. So, they're doing that again. We are not doing a scrimmage fest this weekend. We're just going to host Minnetonka on Tuesday for kind of a real final tryout scrimmage. I think both teams, at least that was what was, relayed to me. But I don't know, Katie, have you heard of any big girls scrimmages coming up?
Yeah. I'm sure there's more than just the one that Prior Lake is attending, but Chaska is actually hosting 4 teams in a play day. And I'm pretty sure this is the first year they're doing it. I remember last year the varsity did do a scrimmage. But this is going to be kind of a fun little play day. St. Louis Park, Chaska, Eastview, Eden Prairie, and Prior Lake are attending. So that's going to be kind of fun because we don't play Chaska.
Wait, did you say Chaska's hosting and they're not one of the teams playing?
No, they are. Sorry, did I not say their name?
I don't know if you did or not.
Sorry, they're going to be there and they're hosting. But
Okay.
Prior Lake doesn't play like Chaska in the regular season, I don't think.
Yeah.
We play Chan, but we don't play Chaska. So that's going to be fun to play them. And it's also going to be fun to play St. Louis Park. It's fun to just see another team, have an opportunity to see a team you don't play. The girls are excited. I think it's fun to like, our first game is Saturday the 15th. So like it kind of breaks up the week of practice. Like as coaches, we love it. But I think for the kids, they obviously want to get into games. And I have no idea if they're using it as more of a supplemental tryout. That's not really my role. But regardless, it's going to be fun. Like JP mentioned when we were talking about the weather, like we all do, but I'm hoping it's as nice as it says it's going to be, because I think it's a great day to go check it out. I'm sure there's other girls things, so tag us on Instagram if there's other play days going on. Like if your team's scrimmaging, give us a shout so that we can kind of keep up with those scores, see who's playing who's getting out there, enjoying the day, enjoying the first week here. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I love that teams are doing this, because I won't say meaningless, but it is meaningless as far as like who wins, who loses in a preseason scrimmage. But we've all talked about it, whether you're on the podcast or just involved in high school lacrosse in Minnesota, that little time frame between the first day of tryouts and the first game is so short, and then it's in jeopardy all the time with the weather. Ted mentioned it already. Some teams are having to make adjustments to either going to the gym or outright cancel practice. Whatever you've got available, you do what you can. But I think just getting out onto the field and having a no stakes, real live like scrimmage setting where you can see another team wearing another jersey and run even just a basic 2-3-1 motion offense and get your guys moving, get some lines mixed up, and getting guys and girls a chance to actually play a full field game is so important. And it's awesome to see that there's one in Rosemount, one in Egan. I'm sure there's a couple other places where you've got 4 or 5 programs deciding, hey, we're going to get together and do these scrimmages. And like Katie was saying earlier, it's an opportunity for teams that would probably never really think to schedule each other or just can't. And it's just a good way to kind of see where you're at, obviously, before the season starts, but also just get programs mixing together and getting coaches to meet each other, players to meet each other, kind of similar to the coaches summit, right? Bridge the gaps between programs and make that lacrosse community a little bit tighter than it already is. And I love seeing that multiple programs have bought into it and are putting, the scheduling aside and just want to be like, yeah, let's just play and make it fun. And yeah, I think it's cool to see it happen, because growing up out east, when teams are traveling to do their preseason scrimmages, and now that we're doing it here, like it's just going to keep growing. It's just a good opportunity for everybody. Yeah,
I think doing full field is so huge. Like we did a little bit yesterday, but obviously it was freezing and snowing at the end of practice, and like we got to see what we needed to see, of course, but like it still gets a little squirrely because you're playing each other, and like it's fun, and it's the end of tryouts, and everybody tries to get to that point of the full field scrimmage or the 7v7 for the girls. Like, it was fun. It was great. The girls were competitive, but like there's just something else actually like getting on the bus, having a game day. And I think that's really exciting for the girls who have made varsity this year, who weren't on varsity last year. I think that's kind of just like a really great way to kick off the season. Like, I'm sure they're nervous, but like here they get their first game day, like right out of the gate, and kind of get a taste. And then you can turn around on Monday and can kind of get back to the drawing board and be like, okay, this is what it's all about. And like, sometimes these kids are a bundle of nerves. Like, and I feel for them, because it's like there is a lot of anxiety about getting evaluated. So I think if they can kind of go through the motions of that game day, that's only helpful for come that real day. And our first game is away, so they'll get to go through all these motions a week later, kind of on the same time frame, even. Kind of like that ACT prep, they say kind of go through the motions of it. And I think that's huge for game day for the kids who are making varsity for the first time and playing for the first time too.
Yeah, no, I think it's huge. I mean, think about just the logistics side of getting from class to the locker room to the bus, getting the warm-ups, all that kind of stuff. It's huge to have a low stakes warm up into the actual game day. Because even as coaches, you need that experience of like, okay, let's get everybody together, pre-game meeting, and then you get everybody on the bus and you got to get everyone home, like all that kind of stuff. Like coaches need reps on that too. Refs need the reps on it. So I've said it already, but I love that people are giving themselves the opportunity to go through those pre-game motions without having it be affecting your wins and loss record. So yeah,
absolutely.
And especially too with a lot of teams doing so much more off season, whether you want to call it a captain's practice or if you're hiring a coach or whatever you're doing, like a lot of teams they've been battling each other inside all off season. And Katie, you kind of mentioned it, that it's just they compete, but it's still their friend from school, their teammate. They've been going on the same matchup the entire winter. And then there's just a point where that becomes stale and it's not someone with a different color jersey, like JP said. So there is something about that whole game day vibe. And especially if you're coming up maybe as a 9th or 10th grader and you've never played a varsity before, maybe even you've just done high school lacrosse, the varsity game day experience is so much different than JV and youth. Like it's not just show up at the grass field, there's the table and you just kind of roll the balls out and go. It's like you have a lot more pomp and circumstances at the terminology, where you have like this official warm up and there's certain drills that you're running and then the national anthem and then how are we lining up and like
how are we going to hit our sticks together and who's the starting lineup and then what's our cheer.
It seems like kind of stupid, but as you guys were talking, I was thinking about that being sort of, and I was in my first year of high school coaching after like a 10-year hiatus last year. And I kind of forgot about like a 7:30 game starts like mentally, not necessarily mentally, it starts way before that, but physically getting ready to even get there, it's like 5 o'clock. You're already like, you got to make sure you got your whiteboard, right? Like your crap. And if you're traveling to an away game, there's all the aspect of like, what do I need to pack? Especially if, you have to go watch the JV and you're going to sit there for 2 hours before you even get your stuff on. That's an interesting point. I didn't really think about that, but going to travel for a scrimmage and maybe even 2 games, you kind of get some reps, like JP said, on some of those things that
and like what's the warm-up and like who's gonna play them even at the home games, like where do we meet, like you said, the locker room, like there's like pre-game places, you got like there's a whole itinerary, at least for probably like we've got the whole itinerary for a home game for the varsity team. Like you said, Ted, for B team, we just go to the grass field, we set the field, we take it down, it's great, we have it's a good time, we get our competitive game in, and then we go watch JV and varsity. But like for the varsity game, there's an itinerary of like, this is the time and you need to be there when, and I think that's super cool, because like that's the fun of it. And like you for sure don't get that in club. Like we're just warming up in the sides of the fields in 150 degrees, and it's like there's no lineup, there's no stick check really ever. There's, like you said, the pomp and circumstance of a varsity competition is super fun, but like can also be really nerve-wracking. Yeah, and like even as coaches, like pre-game ritual, I think my favorite part of the high school season, and I know this about myself, and I have now sort of curated my entire year around it, is the amount of coffee I drink, and I allow myself to drink. Like I like save money, I like stash cash to put on my Starbucks card, and like I seek out new coffee drinks because I am drinking such obscene amounts of caffeine, because the days are so long, and like where you're out shivering in the cold for 4 hours, like that takes energy, and I fall sound asleep. Where if I were to drink this amount of coffee on a normal day, I would be up all night. It's like I'm very sensitive to caffeine, but there's just something that a switch flips come April 3rd, and I am able to just drink nitro cold brews. I got these nitros from Costco. They go down like a chocolate milk. I drank one at 4 o'clock, and I'm like, I will probably fall asleep just fine by
They
like
have
11.
nitro cold brews at Costco now.
Yeah, they're vanilla sweet cream nitro cold brews.
The Starbucks brand.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't like those.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well,
I thought it was like those Kirkland cold brews, but
no,
also
those are good too.
version anyway. Yeah.
Those are good too. But like, it is my favorite part of the season to get an afternoon coffee because the nights are so long. And like I said, I usually can't drink coffee after the noon hour. And it is such a ritual for me to get a coffee on the way to the field or like on the way to a game, because you use all the energy up. And like,
JP likes the white monsters, I think.
I do not actually. My doctor, I was going to say, is very happy with me that I'm not coaching as much anymore, really at all anymore, because my caffeine consumption has plummeted down to maybe half a cup of coffee a day now.
wow.
And I'm like, no more energy drinks. I'm not drinking coffee at 4 o'clock in the evening. My sleep schedule is great. The lack of caffeine in my life is not a bad thing. And I actually
see,
absolutely
I
love
gear
it.
up for this. I sleep and get that dialed in. But then now I know it's like all bets are off, and it's coffee go time. And I live for it.
Well, I think talking about the caffeine and talking about the games is getting me all excited. I'm sure you two are very pumped up for the first, week 0, week 0.5 of the year, Thursday to Saturday the 13th to the 15th. I know, Ted, you've got 2 games in those 3 days. Katie, you've got your first game on Saturday. Obviously, you guys are going to be excited about those games, but is there anything else on the schedule that you guys, just looking at as a fan, get you guys fired up, or even as an opposing coach, that you're interested in that's on the schedule in those first 3
I'm
days?
excited to meet the coaches in real life that we've interviewed, like Coach Allie at Stillwater. Like, I'm like so excited to meet her in person. I hope she brings her dog. But like all these coaches we've interviewed, like I'm actually really excited to like now see them face to face in 3D and like say hi and like be kind of more acquainted, and then like say, hey, like, is that like nice to meet you again? And finally.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The first day of games, Thursday the 13th, on the boys' side, there's actually quite a few interesting matchups. And I guess I had only kind of looked briefly, but now that I'm diving into this, you have Shakopee and Jefferson kicking things off at 5:30 on Thursday.
Wow.
Shakopee, obviously a section runner up last year in a very tough section. One of I don't know, they may have even been a top 5 team at some point. And Jefferson, I think we talked to their coach a couple weeks ago. Up and coming team. We'll see where they're at, but definitely have the makings of something. So that will be an interesting matchup. Moving down to 7 o'clock, you have Maple Grove and Centennial, 2 teams that pretty much battle it out for the Northwest Suburban Conference every year. I don't want to leave Robbinsdale Armstrong out, but Centennial and Maple Grove have kind of been the two. And they're kicking their season off with a game that could very likely decide the conference. No shade to the other teams, but they have been kind of the traditional powers. Maybe gives Armstrong, who's maybe kind of the sleeper pick, a little motivation coming down the road when they play those teams. But that's a nice rivalry game right away. And then Hill Murray and Eastview Apple Valley at 7 as well. So the Valley was a solid team last year. Hill Murray, I think, kind of like Jefferson, was a young team that's up and coming. So Thursday has a lot of good games. I don't know if JP, if you have any other that catch your eye.
No, you mentioned it already, that Maple Grove Centennial one is one I will have my eye on, because those are 2 new head coaches facing off against a rival each, and it's a big game. I went to it last year at Maple Grove. It's one of those games that it was very close to begin with, and then Centennial kind of went on a run to seal the deal, and then the final score is a little bit closer than the actual game was. But still a really good game. And I'm interested to see how these two new head coaches, and there's not a whole lot of change with the staffs that they're working with, but it'll just be interesting to see how they do with their first game in a big one like that, especially first day of the season. I think you put yourself out on a pedestal a little bit, or you're exposed a little bit being that Thursday game versus if your first game's on a Saturday. You can kind of feel out what everybody else is doing Thursday and Friday if you've got a couple days to go into it. But I definitely am interested in that one. But I do think Stillwater and BSM, that is a Saturday afternoon game. Stillwater is going out to St. Louis Park, I think is technically where BSM is, right on that Minneapolis-St. Louis Park border. But one I will also be very interested in, another new coaching staff at Benilde, and playing at home. Stillwater, I think Benilde knocked Stillwater out of state last year. They have in recent years. So a state tournament game early on in the season, I think that's definitely one that has the makings for a game of the week if we're calling our first week Thursday to Saturday. But I think Shakopee and Jefferson is my personal game of the week because, Ted, you already mentioned it. Shakopee kind of being a namestay in the section finals, kind of on that state edge, and then Jefferson coming up, trying to not rebuild, but get back to where they were in the years past. So I think Shakopee Jefferson is my game of the week. But we've got a great slate for the first 3 days on the boys' side. And also on the girls' side, Katie, I'll let you start it off for games you're interested in. But there's a couple that I've got pointed out that are intriguing.
Yeah, like Ted said, 18 games that day. I guess shout out to Holy Family and Southwest Christian. Maybe Southwest Christian will go on a run again this year. But starting us out at 5:15 on Thursday, they will be the first game of this 2023 season. Following them, Chan Minnetonka will be at 5:30 on Thursday. That's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be interesting to see, runners up in state. Chan, new coach. Minnetonka has an entire new coaching staff. They're always pretty competitive, so it's going to be a great matchup. I think that's a great first game matchup for both teams. And then a little later in the evening, Lakeville. Oh, I thought that said South. Grand Rapids Greenway, coming down to Forest Lake. So Thursday night, I would maybe hope they're taking school off, or maybe they're just driving back up late Thursday night. They'll have a 7:00 game. I love one of the northern teams coming out, and I always think that's super cool.
Maple Grove on Thursday night too.
I saw that one too. That was gonna be my next one. That's gonna be kind of a good. Where did Centennial end up last year? Did they go to state for the girl? No, just the boys.
They lost to Andover in Section 7 final, but I think if we think back to our section podcasts, Centennial could be a really good team this year, and Maple Grove has always been good. And so yeah, no, I think those are good. Joe is in the waiting room right now. So
solid.
Do you want me to let him in, or do you want to?
Let's do it.
Okay. And joining the podcast, I think just got back home from practice. Our first guest of the actual season, new Benilde defensive coordinator, Joe Weichert. Welcome to Down the Alley.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Did definitely just walk in from practice. Much warmer than yesterday, though.
Yeah.
Sun for a little while. So
yeah.
Hey, it's almost spring, guys.
Yeah, almost.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Yeah, today wasn't bad at all.
No, yesterday was a bear, though.
Honestly, today the girls were like, the sun's in my eyes. I can't see the ball. And I'm like,
yes.
Would you rather have sun or would you rather have snow in your eyes? Because we've had both. So you pick. And they're like, yeah, you're right. We had girls were in shorts and I wasn't, but it was way better than yesterday.
We were talking today about how we're all just going to be complaining in a couple days when it's like 65 or it's so hot out here.
Yeah.
And like forget that it was 27 degrees outside 2 days ago. But Joe, been around, I think was the topic of discussion a few weeks ago in the Section 5 podcast. I maybe caused a little bit more drama than I should have. He reached out and was like, you know what? Let me come on. I gotta at least set the record straight. And I think, as a very, a podcast that has a lot of class and we do things the right way. We're right down the middle. We don't have too controversial takes.
We're so popular. We have so many subscribers.
I was like, I think Joe deserves a chance to come on and at least give us his side of the story from, whatever he wants to talk about. I think we probably have some questions for him, but
what did you say? What was the initial? Okay, we're gonna get there.
Some speculations.
Got it.
But I think the first thing I just want for those, I think a lot of our listeners probably already know you, but for those that don't, can you give us a quick rundown of
absolutely.
Where you come from?
So I go by Coach Joe Bear. It's how most people probably know me around the state in the lacrosse world. Actually grew up in Mendota Heights, went to St. Thomas Academy, 7th through 12th grade. Got to play for Coach John Barnes over there. Shout out Coach Barnes. I still stay in contact with him. One of my just coaching mentors. So he would always say he was the general manager and he'd hire coordinators to teach lacrosse. So, but was really fundamental and just kind of lighting a fire in me for just competitiveness in general. And I went out to the University of Colorado out in Boulder, did my education out there for college and been back here, been coaching with True for 11 years now. This will be 11 years. And then was just out at Maple Grove. Should have had 3 seasons, but with COVID only had 2. And now we're over at Benilde St. Margaret's, over at what I call home.
And were you part of how long has True been around? Were you part of like day one staff?
The original. So I played for Corey Childs, shout out C Childs, on Frost. And then True came in and they bought the Frost and the Lakers from Childs and Dunnigan. So then I played for and coached for True year 1. St. Thomas Academy has a service hour requirement for kids going into their senior year. So what better way to give back and get your service hours than coaching lacrosse, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's no, I mean, that's the way to do it. I feel like I didn't have service hour requirement, but we had some volunteer stuff in high school. And I feel like I did the same thing. It was like, I'm already coaching. Can I just get the sign off here?
Bingo. It's exactly what I did. And it was, it's led to this, which has been, definitely by far and away the most rewarding experience, just coaching and mentoring and continuing to guide as players get older and older. And now I have players that are graduating from college that I coached, and I don't know about all that, but
Did you play at CU?
Just 1 year.
Okay. What is it club or is it
out there? Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool place to be though, that's for sure.
Oh man, you can't wake up in Boulder, Colorado and not have a smile.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been, but I've heard Ted loves the biscuit company.
We went to a club tournament out there. I don't even know if it's around anymore, but it was called the Boomtown Classic, and it was in Boulder. And this was like 4 or 5 years ago, and they played MLL rules. They had a 2-point arc and shot, and it was such a fun time.
You guys loved that. Isn't that that was
look at doing that in Minnesota, just down the alley MLL 2-point arc tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
You guys loved that tournament.
There's a place called Flatiron Coffee, and I still think about it every single day. Nitro, it hit different. I don't know if they put some other things in there. I don't know what it was, but man, that was such a good. Boulder's a sweet place.
Yeah, wasn't there like a bicycle tournament?
It was like a bike,
there was like every 4 years there was like a bicycle tournament, and it happened to be the same weekend or something. So hotels were like $500 a night for a Holiday Inn or something like that.
Classic club situation. Like we're going to this place, and it's like once every 10 years
Like
international
USA Cup, mountain biking, cycling, something was the same weekend. Yeah.
But I guess kind of going back to the original thing, when I don't know if it's why you reached out, but I did kind of stir the pot a little bit, which is unlike me, to say, you went from Maple Grove to Benilde. I want you to explain that move, but and I was saying, maybe there was some heat kind of going back and forth in the Winter League or whatever. Could have been blown out of proportion. I don't know. It was all rumors, but obviously, talk about your move from Maple Grove to Benilde, because I think a lot of people felt like you were really had something going with Maple Grove and obviously had them kind of playing at their highest level.
No, that was one of the hardest decisions I've actually had to make just in life in general. Those Maple Grove kids, I mean, all praise to them. They ran through hoops, jumped through over fences, and ran right through the brick wall for me, and gave me everything they had and then some. Ever since I started coaching, it's kind of been my dream, right? When I was 18, I would have told you, oh, what do you want to do in coaching? I would have said, I want to coach at Benilde St. Margaret's.
Wow.
I had a 2025 parent of a Maple Grove student. I won't use his name as I didn't ask him previous, but he came up to me after I left and sat down, and this dad he's an all-time dad. He put his arm around me and he goes, anywhere else I'd be pissed, because when I met him originally, when his kid was a sixth grader playing 12U, he asked what I wanted to do in coaching, and I told him I'm gonna coach at Benilde someday. And so, for me, this is where I want to be. And last year I would have told you that there's only one head coach. If anyone knows me, you will see me coach. I'm not much for being the number 2 guy. It's not really my MO or kind of antics about me, or my character. But, last year I would have told you there's only one guy I would have been a assistant for, and Rob Horn. Shout out Rob Horn. And this year there's only one person I'd be an assistant for, and that's Giuseppe Palermo. G coached me when I was younger.
Yeah.
He's got some horribly funny stories. I hope he never tells our boys about it. But there's no one I'd rather be doing this journey with than him. So to get to go from playing for him to playing or coaching with him has been, he's big brother to me. I never had a big brother. I have 2 older sisters, so G's always kind of been the, whatever it is in life, he's big brother. So it's been already, I mean, we're only 2 days into practice. This is, I couldn't be happier. I'll tell you that. And it's no shout at Maple Grove. I miss them. I hope I wasn't pushed out, I guess. I went in and had a good conversation. Mr. Jones, Ricardo Jones, the AD up there, is all class, and he couldn't have been better for me, especially as a new coach. Year 1, I know he put up with way too many ADs calling him after games and complaining. So wasn't easy, but I know they're in good hands. One of my best friends, Jake Wilson, stayed up there to coach with Kyle Ficken, who's another coaching mentor of mine. I've known Fick for 10 years now. So I know they're in good hands, and excited to see what they bring to Section 5 this year. I want them back in that section final game. I think that would be pretty rowdy. And then as for Ted, just because I'll give it to you, for the Winter League, I still talk to a lot of those Maple Grove kids. I write college letters of recommendation. So it was really all good family fun is what it was. I think you could ask them the same. And, Cat Cop, the coaches over there, that whole staff, I've known them for a long time, even the new guys. So it was kind of fun. It was enjoyable.
I will say a lot of the kids, especially the kids that listen to this podcast, they get the bits more than the adults do. Like they're very in tune with like where that line is on like trash talk. And so I can see that definitely being like, we're going to give it to him because he, he used to be with us, but like, it's, it's all out of love kind of thing. And I feel like we kind of get that same vibe a little bit from the kids that comment on our Instagram being like, guys are a bunch of idiots putting us at second. We should have been unanimous number 1. We were 7-5 last year. How could you not?
The section takes were good, I thought, except section 8 was a little hot, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I think you're sleeping on St. Michael, but that's just me.
They got to prove us otherwise. I mean,
That
I
was
was
a
hot
fun
on St.
section.
Michael
We've
last year.
actually,
But they keep losing in the final. I would love to see them go on to the next step. I'm
how many
hoping
times have we sat here and had that talk of this is the year they're gonna do it, right? And I'm telling you, I'm calling it. I'm calling it now. This is actually the year. It's finally the year St. Michael's gonna do it.
all right, you heard it here for section. We've actually brought up like in our group chats, section 8, that discussion at least twice this past week of like, that was a good one. We were all kind of like, it's still on my mind a little bit. So, all right, well, that's your hot take. I like it.
That's my hot take. And hopefully that answers the reason, again, this is just for me, how I like to coach is this is where I want to be. And I plan to hopefully continue to hold strong. Coach Sean Clemenstrude's legacy of having a stout defense. So we're going to do our best to uphold that and maybe throw a curveball. I don't know. The state should be worried about a monkey this year. That's all I'm going to say. I won't say more, but monkey. Just
all right. Speaking of, obviously, you're a new program. What's first look like? I today for me personally, I felt like I could have practiced for 4 more hours. It was just one of those days where it was like, it's over already. I just have so much more I want to do. Has it been exciting? Has it been hard? What's been the vibe at practice?
Yeah. So just to echo your point, G looked at me, it was 9:02, and he goes, "You seen enough?" And I go, "Man, I'll stay out here until 1 a.m. right now. I'm having so much fun," right? And I've known a lot of these kids, especially this senior class, Carson, Brandt, Luke Drews, Cannon Mills. I've coached those kids since they were 9 years old in the club world. So the transition actually has been really easy in terms of that regard. And then, just energy, right? I think that's the biggest takeaway I have is just a little bit of gritty toughness, right? That's being brought out. You guys, I'm sure, have all felt it being outside these last couple of days. And you early on, we're finding out what kind of character these boys have. And it's been really exciting to do so. So again, it's
I was telling JP earlier that Monday, Tuesday, we were inside and it was like, guys are looking really good. And then Wednesday we went outside and like the depth chart changed quite a bit. It is that mental toughness. It's hard to play lacrosse in cold weather. Your hands are frozen, the wind, the snow in your face. And
yesterday we had all of them combined, right?
Yeah. And it is an interesting dynamic to just kind of test that mental toughness on a hard weather day. But obviously Benilde is, they have the target on their back. They've been to 5 straight title games. They're, back-to-back state champs. The talent is endless. How do you deal with that as a coach? Being like, you guys know you're good. It's not like you have to motivate them to be like, hey, let's work hard. Like they know what the expectation is. How do you handle that every day to keep that expectation high?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I've always taken away from Coach G is ABC. Always be coaching, right? And always be challenging, right? I mean, we look at starting defense of, in my opinion, all Division I caliber polls and goalie, and you say, okay, well, where do you nitpick? And to me, it's actually all over, right? There's a lot of things that we can continue to do better, and then it's, hey, here's where the standard is. Let's raise that standard. Let's actually push that bar to that next step so that instead of just, continuing the legacy, we allow that legacy to thrive and we really kind of, push the mark of what can be done. And that's what we're trying to do this season, right? We have some lofty goals, and it's not all just, hey, let's go win a title, right? There's a lot of goals that we have that if we take care of them, that will come, I would think. But again, it's always be coaching, always be challenging. And again, there's so many ways that we can get better. We can do little things, dominating the details and just really, really hammer it home. And you're never going to get perfect, but that's always that goal. So there's always that challenge in front of us, and you can't let a team like this get complacent. As soon as they get complacent, they start doing dumb one-handed, just ignorant things, right? Where you're no, don't do that, right? So you just got to keep challenging and keep coaching.
I think like the lacrosse world in Minnesota would probably look at Benilde as like the gold standard of a program, right? The resume speaks for itself. So the new coach on the staff, what's something that stood out to you as like, okay, this is why this program has been so successful? Like, what do they do that separates them or what do you guys do, I should say, that separates them at practice or during film or kind of during the coaches meetings that makes them that gold standard?
So the biggest thing that I saw in the offseason, I'll start there, is the dedication that they have to accountability of each other for lifting and grades. And it's been the greatest thing to see. You have seniors picking up freshmen to bring them to the gym. You have guys, getting on each other for not lifting, not doing this and that, right? And it's an accountability factor, top to bottom. That really, to me, was really cool to see. As a coach, you always want that, and this is a place where that's the culture, right? And then practice, man, that's just intensity. There's no other two bits about it. I've been around a lot of lacrosse, coached a lot of teams. I have not been to a day 2 practice that had the type of intensity we had today. And that to me, again, I know there's a lot of other great programs. I think, when people say Benilde's the gold standard, I would put Prior Lake right there as the 2 gold standards. One, here's how you do it as a private school. One, here's how you do it as a public school, right? Chris Fleck and Inda Casey did a phenomenal job down there. And 94 kids at tryouts. I blew my mind last year when I heard that. But intensity, man, and accountability. Mistakes happen, they give one, right? They get down and rock out a push-up. It's the little details that are the difference that I've come to really, really appreciate here in my short time.
I love that. I think that's super cool, and clearly a foundation has been built. What's something that, like, I know you're not the head coach, but I'm sure you've obviously brought your flavor. There's no place you probably can go without doing that. But like, what are some things you and even Coach Palermo have done culture-wise without sort of like, shattering what the past coaches have done? Because clearly Coach Horn and Coach Clem were doing something right. So what are some things that maybe like those foundations that you guys are keeping, but then what are some of the little flavor things that you guys are bringing to the boys this year? Or are you throwing everything out the window and you're like,
no, I'm trying to keep as much as I can from Coach Sean. Obviously, I'd be a fool not to. I think for me personally, I think the biggest thing that we're doing a little differently is just a little bit of taking a white knuckle approach and being loosey goosey, right? You gotta have fun. And it was one thing I noticed right away. And it is just due to the competitive nature of Benilde, right? But guys really afraid to make mistakes at first. It was like, what are we doing? Right? Like, can we smile and have a little fun?
Yeah.
And maybe try something and not be worried if it doesn't, work perfectly. And then just another little boost in energy, right? I think Coach G and I, we're Mutt and Jeff on the field, so we're just out there having fun, and so far the boys have picked up on that, and they're doing the same. And to me, I ask every team I coach, I don't care if it's a 10U, 12U, varsity, club, I don't care. I ask them 2 questions every day when I get done. I go, raise your hand if you had fun today, and raise your hand if you got better today. You can answer yes to both of those questions. Like, the rest will usually take care of itself. We can always do things better, but those to me are the 2 most crucial things. And the boys have really bought into that. So it's been really neat. We're definitely keeping a lot of what I'm going to call the standard Benilde flair with a little bit of twist, because we got to have a little fun with it. So Yeah, I guess
I like that approach. I think that's super cool. I think especially with like the really, really highest level athletes, it's always really important to kind of like bring them down a little bit, to be like, you're still just like a sophomore in high school or a junior in high school.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be okay. I like that kind of checkpoint for them.
Yeah, they did a quote of the day, and I actually got roasted. So I'm gonna play it out in this down here, and you guys can tell me if I was really bad with the quote of the day. But I was trying to play on, life's simple, don't be too hard on yourself. So my quote was, "We live and we die, and the wheels on the bus go round and round," from the movie The Bucket List. Now I got just roasted by the boys. For
All
that.
Right. Well, they've probably never seen that movie. They probably don't even know what that movie is or who is in it.
No, and they were
movie.
like, Joe Bear, this is the dumbest quote we've
yeah,
ever
yeah,
heard.
yeah. They went right over their head. It went right over their head.
But I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is just the fun. I'm a big kid, right? So like I like to have fun, and people watch the antics and they can say what they want about how absurdly ridiculous I look. I know I do. That's fine. I coach for the kids behind me and they play for me. And that's the beauty of actually having that family aspect. So that's what Coach G and I are really trying to kind of harp in is gritty, tough, fun. If we can do those things, we're making progress.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, you talked about, bringing your flavor into wherever you go. Katie, you mentioned that as well. I gotta ask, is the towel making an appearance on the Benilde sideline this year? And if so, tell us a little bit about the origins of the towel, because I've known the towel as long as I've known you. I think I knew you before we actually met, because I was like, who's this true guy with the towel? Then we were playing Maple Grove.
Yeah.
And I was at STA, and I was like, there's that guy again. What's the towel about?
And what a game that was. That one still gives me nightmares. That overtime, for those of you that didn't tune in and watch the nationally televised St. Thomas Academy Grove game in 21, it was a barn burner. Went to overtime. We lost 9-8. But man, what a fun game that was for me to go back to my alma mater. It's funny you ask about a towel. There's one right here. My true family's made me a couple years back. The towel is definitely coming to Benilde. I have my Benilde towels made. So the origins of the towel. I like jewelry. So anytime, if I'm around a lacrosse tournament and I see an old Native American gentleman hand carving jewelry, I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go check this out, right? And he was making these necklaces where he carved a lacrosse player into a stone, and I was a little overpriced, but I told him, hey, I'll buy one, but you have to impart one piece of wisdom onto me. And he took me and he hit my chest a couple of times like this, just thud, real methodical. And he goes, the rhythm, the heartbeat. When a team gets in a rhythm and they get playing as one, they start banging the drum. And I don't know for sure if that's why the Iroquois have the drum, but either way, they start banging the drum. So the towel to me is my banging the drum. That's what my symbolic, when we score goals, the towel comes out. Like you've seen it, the bench goes, my benches always are the rowdiest in the state. I promise, every year. That's not going to change. And the towel comes, and I keep thinking I'm going to retire it one of these days, because it's kind of a little ridiculous, but I have too much fun with it. I think the kids, even though they're like, God, coach looks ridiculous, it really does. It just gets the juices going.
It's funny. You talk about, quote unquote, your antics and that you don't care or whatever. And I think the first time I ever met you, the first couple times, was like just being on the other sideline. And I've come to realize, and getting a little bit older, that like trying to meet people and judge their character as an opposing coach on a sideline is not like the best route to take. And I'm like, because this guy was like, oh, that Joe guy, man, he drives me nuts on the sideline with his antics and his yelling and his stupid towel. And Mitch was like, Mitch Grangs, I'm a buddy.
I talked to Mitch today.
And he's like, Ted, he's like, you got Joe all wrong, man. Like he does that for the kids. And he did tell me that. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I didn't give the guy a fair shot, because it was like across the, the box. Right. And then I was probably like, oh, there's probably some people that are like, that Ted guy is a piece of crap, right? Because I coached against him and he was screaming something.
That Ted guy's clueless.
Yeah.
Hey, it's okay, Ted. I know that I don't make any friends when I coach. There's one thing I'm sure of is everyone in the Northwest Suburban Conference, they're going to meet Coach Ficken before the game, and they're going to say, man, I'm sure glad to see you and not that asshole. Excuse my French, not that guy across from me at Maple Grove, right? I know I'm not making friends when I coach, but again, I'm just coaching for the kids behind me, man, and like that's what I've always been about. I'm definitely a player's coach, definitely not an easy coach though, too. So, but I've always found that that's kind of my way to push players a little bit further than they thought, right? I genuinely have that care and compassion. I'll sit on the phone for 2 hours talking about world economics, or we'll study for a Spanish test, or cry and tell me about your dog dying, right? Like that's the kicker, and that's kind of what's made me partly as a coach.
Well, I think every team I've seen you coach, that you're right, the sideline has been rowdy, and it's the players are getting fired up and they're ready to go. And I think it's the antics, it's the towel, it's you getting them to fire up, but also I think like everything I've heard about you and everything you just said about what you like the most about coaching is clearly true. And if your players didn't see that genuine compassion and care out of you, they wouldn't be fired up with you and getting rowdy for each other, for you, for the guys on the field. So like clearly what you're doing is working and it's resonating with the people around you. So I think that's really cool. And I think that, like you said, Ted, like the antics and all that kind of stuff are not like the full character. They're not the full picture, but it's also like a clear indication of the people that you're coaching, you care about, and they care a lot about you. So I think that's really powerful thing that you're doing for your communities that you got around you.
Hey, I appreciate that. And that's what it's all about, right? Like I got scolded this winter. I actually got a bench penalty for it. I went on the field and helped another team's injured player off the field, and I got a bench penalty, but it was just another kid I coach, right? So it's like, I'm coaching against, and I'm very, very, very competitive, and I don't like to lose. But at the end of the day, if you're one of my players, you're one of my players, right? And it's been cool. It's been cool in the state, just letting everything develop how it has, and it's all about the kids, right? That they make it, right? I'm sitting here, I'm drinking water out of a Cleveland State water bottle. Shout out Justin Dahlem. I got up there a High Point helmet of Mr. Van Overbeck's, right? We got our players all-state plaques for Maple Grove that they wanted on the wall, right? It's been really fun to evolve with these kids, man. And I grow every season, they grow every season. And again, eventually now I have my 2019, it's the first club team I coached. They're graduating college. I was in college when I was coaching them, right? So it's this really cool cycle that just continues. And I mean, again, I know I'm not making friends from other coaches, and that's just fine with me because I'm having a lot of fun. And I like to think most of my players, I always say there's one kid a year who can't stand me, who says this guy's the worst, right? But I like to think most of my players are having a good time too. And at the end of the day, have fun, get better, right? That's what we're all here to do.
For sure.
Couple last questions here. The first one, in our squad locker down the alley store, I'm seeing a Port Authority microfiber golf towel down the alley. If we send you one, could it maybe make an appearance at a game?
If you threw a little like nighthead somewhere on it, I think we could probably make that happen.
All right. Okay.
It's a private school. There's like guidelines for that stuff.
Yeah. No, I kind of threw the script out. Like I got a silver tooth. I lost a tooth this summer. Don't get me started. Chicken wings are dangerous.
I'm sorry, but I was gonna ask you how you lost a tooth. I mean, you are just owning it, and like most people have like the retainer with like the fake like whiteout, and like you have just bought into the amalgam filling right there and owning it. So I feel like
on
you're
a chicken wing. I wish it was a better story, right? Just snapped right at the gum line. So there's a implant. It's all ready.
There's a root, right?
There is a fake one, yeah. So it's all ready for an input, but
But you just are just doing this.
Yeah, we
the
just got the
amalgam.
retainer, and it's
Oh
got
my God.
it's got a silver tooth on it, and
I felt like I couldn't tell it was silver, but I was kind of like,
yeah, it's
he's
silver
the kind
with
of guy.
silver
He's
with
the
a
kind
red
of guy
top.
that wouldn't be offended if I asked him, "How did you lose
No.
your tooth?"
Yeah, no.
Because you're clearly living your life completely fine that you are having.
Oh, yeah.
I think you own it. You know, you wear it well.
I have a white one too.
Yeah.
I've not worn
Switch them out. You know, keep the people guessing.
I haven't worn the white one since I got the silver one.
It doesn't feel right. Yeah.
No.
It's kind of your MO.
Think
Yeah.
you're gonna start
Any
selling
favorite jewelry? I gotta know. Any favorite jewelry?
No, I like my tattoos.
Oh, okay.
But I do have a favorite tattoo. It's really simple. Let's see. How do I get this the best? Yeah. That's Frank Sinatra right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know that guy.
Yeah, that's for great grandpa. And to remind me to I always kind of add a little flair, so I'll just do the PG version of just do it my way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my favorite thing that
Cool.
I have on my body.
P-Man
Mickey likes tattoos.
usually has some of these last couple questions, and he's finishing his tryout tonight, so he couldn't be here. But one that he asks is, do you have any favorite things right now?
Yeah, I do. I've been trying to learn how to play the harmonica.
Wow.
I will be honest, it's not going great, but I like bluesy type music, and I found this crazy harmonica guy that just absolutely shreds, and I was like, I want to be like him.
There you
go. We've been learning how to play the harmonica. Not going great.
Can you play any songs like Hot Cross Buns?
No.
Okay, not there yet.
We're still working on our
Got
scale.
it.
Yeah. The minor pentatonic, which is the blues scale. As you can see behind me over here, I got 4 guitars sitting back there, but I'm a blues guy myself. It's actually rare to find people nowadays that listen to blues music, but
I listen to a lot of Sinatra. Actually, I listen to the Sirius XM Sinatra station like all the time.
I love it. No, my mom, when I was younger, she still has her big, like 4-foot tall tower speakers from college. And every morning I'd wake up to her playing some record of some kind. I mean, from Bo Diddley to Frank to Neil Young to B.B. King, right? I mean, we literally would hit it all. So my appreciation of music just stems from her. And just so I don't forget, I actually brought on 2 restaurants for you guys today.
Wow. 2.
And for specific meals.
All right.
The best breakfast in town.
All right. We don't have a kitchen right now, so these are going to get written down because I was a
best,
little underwhelmed with my dinner tonight. I'm not going to lie.
The best breakfast in town. Shout out my guy Mo and his lovely wife Nazi. Is at the Downtowner in St. Paul, and you order Mo's Cajun breakfast with a side of bacon.
All right.
We've been to the Downtowner. That place is awesome. I don't know if I've had that specifically.
I feel like I've been there. I mean, I've heard of it, but I feel like I've been there, but I mean, it hasn't been
the best breakfast in town is Mo's Cajun at the Downtowner.
Got it.
And there's this little waitress with red hair, this old lady, Little Red, we call her, and she's the best. And again, Mo and Nazi and their son Eddie, they do a great job. So shout out the Downtowner and their Mo's Cajun. It's the best breakfast.
For breakfast.
And then if you're looking for an off the wall sandwich,
all right,
you need to go to Leela's in Bloomington. It's in the basement of.
I like the vibe
of
Dale Tower
hotel that's right at 100 and 494 on what would be the northwest corner of that intersection.
So like those blue buildings.
I think it's a Sheraton.
I like the ski jump.
Yeah, I think it's a Sheraton hotel, but it's Leela's restaurant. And you
old Radisson, right? The old Radisson.
Yes. And you order the smoked salmon club sandwich.
Wow.
Sandwich.
Okay.
Very specific. I appreciate the specifics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ted and I are siblings. I don't know if you know that. We grew up like right there. So we know that area well. We'll have to get over there.
Have you not been to Leela's?
Never heard of it.
Oh,
it was
God.
around when we were living in.
I don't either. I don't even know what restaurant was in there. I know like the
the
Sofitel
TGI
was
Fridays
like,
quite a bit, but
yeah, we went to TGI Fridays all the time.
and yeah, no, those are some good recommendations.
Yeah,
Those are my two, I guess not even restaurant. Those are my two meal recommendations.
meal. Yeah. I like that. I like the specifics.
Little curveball for you guys today.
That's great. I appreciate it.
Eat it. There hasn't been any games played yet, so we need content. So that we appreciate.
Yeah.
The last question we always ask every guest is, what's your alley? And this is just kind of a play on words with our podcast, but just kind of like, what are you about? What's important to you? It could be lacrosse related or not. I know you kind of touched on some stuff before, but kind of an open-ended question. What's your alley?
Yeah. This is gonna sound like one of the most cliche answers you're ever gonna hear, but it's something I actually live by, and any of my players will tell you I do. My purpose here is to help change lives, and lacrosse is just my instrument. But the mentorship I have an ex-player who every year after their freshman year, I have one player who comes and interns for me. I own my own real estate company. And it's continuing to mentor, continuing to teach, and continuing to be there as a sounding board. World's tough for these kids nowadays, so to be able to give them kind of that brick wall that's always going to be there, that no matter what's going to be rocking I always tell my players, you call me 3 times, I'm going to answer. I don't care what time of the day or night it is. By the 3rd call, I'm going to answer because I'm going to think someone's dead. Yep. So, and that to me, that's what I enjoy in life, right? That's to me what it's all about. It's going to college graduations. It's I have one player now who's gonna have a baby, right? And I'm sitting over here as a single man with 2 cats in his house, like, hey, look at you growing up before me, right? But it's to every year I always have one goal, and it's really my biggest alley is I want one player every year in 20 years when they're older, someone says, hey, who really impacted you? For one player every year to be able to say, that Coach Joe Bear really, really impacted my life. And that's what I do it for. It's actually kind of what I live for. At this point, that's what gets me going every day right there.
That's awesome. I think it's interesting, and I'll say this to you and all the other coaches kind of through you that we've had on the show. Every time we ask them what their alley is, they say, oh, it's kind of cliche, but it's this thing, right? But every time a coach has said that and then said their alley, I'm always like, yeah, okay, it might be said by somebody else or whatever, but it's never cliche because every coach has always meant exactly what their alley is. And again, I'm kind of pumping your tires tonight, but like, you clearly mean it, right? You clearly are motivated by your relationships with your players, right? Like, these coaches that talk about their communities or, being an impact in their programs, right? If you didn't mean that, you wouldn't be a youth sports coach, or you wouldn't be involved with youth activities, whatever it might be. So
we're not doing it for the money, right?
No, absolutely not. Right?
Buy a new tooth.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, I mean,
there's no health insurance. There's no dental insurance. And
there's no dental in coaching. There's no Joe Bear needs a new tooth. Yeah. There's the GoFundMe.
That should be the new motto for Benil this year is Coach Joe Bear needs a new tooth. We got to win state to get him a tooth.
Yep.
Make t-shirts, no dental and coaching.
Yeah. There's no dental insurance and coaching.
Ted, I am looking forward to this towel. Just as, that's a nice thing, but it has to have a good feel.
Microfiber, but so
okay,
that's what it said.
Okay. Well, no, the microfiber is usually good. It's those weird ones that feel like napkins. They give me the heebie-jeebies.
Got it. Yeah. PMAC and I are married. I also don't know if you know that. We got married in 2020, COVID.
I do listen every week, guys.
You do? Okay. I don't know. I feel like people are on and they're like, never. They're like, I listened to one episode. So
you guys not see the Discord? I am very active.
I'm not active. So, but we don't know who you are. Everybody's got like.
No, I'm Joe Bear W.
Okay.
I don't hide. I'm me. And
got it. I have not yet downloaded that, so maybe I should. But anyways, we had it was COVID, so like 6 feet, and we had a Greek wedding, and my dad made the idea to get towels. So there is a PMAX wedding 2010, 17, 2020 towel that we might sauce you one of those too, because those are good ones.
Your team
Those
scores.
are soft.
You gotta pull it out and get rowdy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We have about 100 left. So, and that was our wedding. We had a wedding towel. That was our favor. We did
Katie,
a wedding towel.
Katie, you got to bring a towel to the Benilde Prior Lake game this year.
Well, I was
Prior
gonna
Lake
say,
scores.
You're right. Maybe I'll make PMAC care. Maybe I'll make PMAC, get rowdy on the sideline with our PMAC wedding towel to rival the Benilde towel.
All of Joe's former players that get into coaching now, there's like a whole minion of like towel coaches.
Gosh, can you imagine? There's a lot of them now, but I'm gonna leave you guys with one story, and then I'll let you get on with your evening. Best towel story of all time. So we went to the World Series of Youth Lacrosse with my 26s. I don't know, 3 years ago, something like that. First game, first goal we score, and I'd never seen this. I didn't know what was happening. I see a cross. Every parent was waving a towel, and that did my
special moment.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Is that the one in Colorado? Like in Denver?
No, it was out.
That was in Maryland, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Fun.
Yeah, it's that complex that's like a U. It's like a horseshoe.
Yeah, the Soccerplex. I grew up like 5 minutes from that place. I'd go out to those fields all the time. I don't know if you know
this. Yeah. Maybe from out east, you guys.
Some of the best grass.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
We used to get kicked off the fields all the time because they have big signs.
Soccer? Weird. Did soccer kick you off?
Well, no, because it was soccer, lacrosse, or a couple other sports.
Good.
But the soccer goals would, they have signs that say like, "Do not touch the grass. Do not stand in the box area." Right. They saw you out there. Maintenance would come in, flying with their golf carts. Get out of here! You're not supposed to be here. All this kind of stuff, and it's so big, you just go hide to the other spot. So like they could never fully get us off the fields. But that place is heaven for a sports complex.
Lesson there for all young lacrosse players listening. No excuse to not find a net to shoot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Be nice. If someone tries to kick you off, be nice about it, but let them know you're trying to get your reps in. So
I love it. Well, hey, thanks for having me, guys. And good luck to everyone this year. I'm
you guys too.
I'm excited to see what happens. And I just want a good, energetic year. That's all I want. I want the state to be firing. And some good fiery matchups. We got some fun ones coming up. So
I think so too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
So there you have it. Joe Bear Weichert, the famous towel waving coach. Seems like a good dude. Certainly
passionate. His tooth out.
Yeah, certainly.
We've had a bearded dragon show up and someone has pulled their tooth out.
Yeah.
Podcast.
I think we talk about this a lot in our podcast, various times, but like authenticity kind of is the big thing, right? Being authentic as a coach is the big thing, and don't try to be somebody you're not. And I think Joe really embodies that. He just is who he is, and it's no surprise that his players like playing for him because they're just going to get him, kind of unapologetically him, whether you like it or not. It's got to be like an interesting transition going into a Benilde, even though some of the players, but just kind of the level of expectation there. And we'll see what happens. They still got a talented team. They're good coaches, so we'll see what happens with Benilde this year. But I guess any last parting words before we shut it down and head back into week 0. I guess we have a couple more days of this tryout week.
Yeah, no, we still got some. I guess our next episode will be maybe after some games, depending on when the everything shakes out. But yeah, any scrimmages that happen, anybody get some good content, good highlights, or just even some insider tips from what they saw, let us know. We're looking for sources in all the different regions. I would take a source from every school, even if you're a a freshman 9-10 player and you're going to the varsity games and you're looking on at getting your English grade up, write us some reports, send it to your English teacher and us. But yeah, I'm excited to we're that much closer, but we're not quite there. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the next few weeks here.
Yeah. Well, kind of
That's all
weird.
I got.
Kind of weird to not have like a ton of stuff to have to talk about for 2 hours, but shout out to all the kids and teams getting ready to go. Good luck in your first games. We do have DTA Plus Premium launched. It is our paid area of our website, but we do have sources and boots on the ground covering the sport this spring. If you're hungry for more content than just the normal once a week, definitely check that out. You can find it on our website. Already a couple of our sources and contributors have put some crazy stuff together. So definitely check that out. But thank you to all those that are subscribed to the free version of our website. We're looking forward to getting game recaps and covering the games. And I promise to have JP schedule up on the website at some point in the next couple days. I've gotten a couple logged in, but we'll try to get it all up there so you can kind of figure out where we're going to be this spring. So
yeah,
that's all I got.
That's all she wrote.
All right. We'll talk to everybody next week. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk
Happy
to you.
Easter.
Happy Easter for those who celebrate.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It was Passover yesterday, so
Yeah.
happy
Yep.
that too.